Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. This is Jennifer Allwood. This is Monday Fire, episode number 66. And it's going to be an encouragement to somebody's heart today. So I want to share with you real quick, like kind of how God does me. Because I think that we all hear from the Lord in like different ways. And so what it looks like for me may look different from you. But a lot of times God will give me life lessons in the midst of like experiences, and it'll kind of be like a little nudge, like, see, this is just like business, or see, this is just like life. And I used to think that that was kind of weird, and then I'm like, wait a second, that's how God taught everybody in the Bible, that he used parables and like, it's kind of like this all the time. And so I've tried to get more comfortable just sharing when God's giving me teaching moments, knowing that, once we know something, like it's our responsibility to share. And if we have something that can be an encouragement for other people, that it's our responsibility to do that. And so I want to share with you something that God was showing me while I was in Colorado last week hiking. So a little bit of backstory. It's 2020 and coronavirus, but I still got on a plane and went to a woman named Haley's house, who's in my mastermind with Stu McLaren. So there was going to be a meetup of, there was like 4 of us women who are in the mastermind who decided all to meet at Haley's house because I am craving connection. I have figured out in the last couple of years, just how important travel is to me. Now, before you're like, oh gosh, must be rough. No, listen, even when we were dead broke, I still needed to just drive to Des Moines. I just hop in my vehicle with the kids and make a road trip to Iowa. There's something about going to a different place. And I literally, like Jason and I have done counseling with our pastor over this because leaving home was super important to me. Leaving home, not so important to my husband. And it became even a point of contention. I could do a whole podcast episode on this for you sometime. And my pastor was really able to explain it really well because he said, for me, a lot of times when our family is going on, whether it's a road trip, whether it's an overnight, whether it's a full-blown vacation, whatever it is, it's a way that we can kind of like nestle down together. And that's what really feeds my mama heart. And so in this case, I wasn't going with my family, but I have found that I really need people in business to really just be physically present with other people who are doing business like I am in order to feel alive and inspired and all the things. So got on a plane, went to Boulder. And while we're in Boulder, which is just beautiful, there's hiking. And so I had asked Jamie, my friend Jamie Swanson, if she wanted to do a hike with me while we were there. And I think we were on Mount Sanitas. I guess somebody will send me a DM on Instagram. So that's where we were at, Mount Sanitas. So anyhow, this hike, it didn't look terribly hard. I mean, I think it was 1,300 feet up. Now, last fall, Jason and I were in Maine, and we did Precipice Mountain, which is like in the top 10 hardest hikes or something. If you followed me on Instagram then, you know it was not the smartest, safest thing we've ever done. There were lots of edges where I'm like, holy smokes, this is a foot wide. There's death right below us. So it wasn't like that in Boulder. But also, I am a year older. And, the coronavirus has added a good 20 pounds to my waist. Let's just be serious. So I knew that I'm not in optimal shape, but I still was like, I'm here and I love experiences. So let's absolutely go hiking. So God showed me 3 really interesting things on that hike on the way to the top of Mount Sanitas. And I want to share those with you. It's going to help someone. Okay. So number one thing that he was showing me, boy, there's a lot of different ways that you can get to the top for whatever that looks like for you, whether that's, whatever that successful thing looks like. Maybe it's homeschooling your kids. Maybe it's getting a different job. Maybe it's getting your business off the ground, whatever it is, whatever success looks like. It was interesting that there wasn't just one straight shot to the top of the mountain. There was, a couple ways where we could come in from an angle. There was some places where it kind of like we were going up and then we would have to come back down a little bit to go back up even higher. Does that make sense? So it wasn't like just a straight shot. And it reminded me of those memes that you see on social media it's like, this is what most people think business is like. And it's like, it goes from point A to point B in a direct arrow upward. And then the meme shows this is what business actually looks like. And it's like an arrow and it's going all in circles and it's crazy. And if you're watching me on YouTube right now, you see me like making hand gestures. So anywho, the Lord was just showing me, Jen, there's so many different ways for you to get to the top. Same with business. You don't have to do it the same way that other people have. You can blaze your own trail. If you don't like the way other people have gone before you, try this other route. If you don't like how it looks on that route, try this other route. If you don't feel like you're able to go at the capacity or at the speed of other people on this route, like try this other thing. And I was thinking, gosh, that's such a good just reminder for life. There's lots of different ways to get to where we're trying to go. One time I said to my team, there's lots of different ways to slice a cat. And now I'm always super careful because I want to say skin a cat. And then I'm like, that's even morbid. And then when I accidentally said slice a cat instead of skin a cat, like things just got weird. So anyway, so we won't say that, but we will say there's a lot of different ways to get to the top. Number 2 thing, God was showing me during this hike, and it took us about 2 hours to get to the top and about an hour to get down. We went 1,300 feet and 3 miles, I think, is what it ended up being. But Jamie was really, I don't want to say like such a big help because then I just sound like I have zero physical fitness. It wasn't that. It's just she's a good, probably 6 to 8 inches taller than I am. She's very in shape. She just ran a race the weekend before, 52 miles in one day. And then I kept thinking about things like, okay, how old is she? She's like, 36 and I'm 49. Like I'm out here huffing and puffing. And it was amazing to me, like how I just needed her at different points. And it was mostly on the coming down, because I found that the trail was gravelly in spots and I was slipping, and I have Oompa Loompa legs. And so they're half as long as her. And, so she'd be able to just jump down off a step and I'm having to like scooch down on my butt. And, and literally there were times when she was like holding my hand and I'm like, I feel such a dork. And she was like, Jen, this is my honor. And I'm like, okay, that makes me feel like I'm 100 years old. And also thank you, Jesus, because I really need your help on some of these spots that were just dicier. I was trying to explain to Jamie that as I've gotten older, my eyes, I always was like I've always prided myself in having great eyesight. And literally at like 46, I woke up one day and the world was blurry. And I'm like, what just happened? Oh, this is what people talk about. Dang it. I was like, I made it to 46. And it's interesting what people don't tell you about when you start needing glasses and your eyesight isn't what it used to be, is that it affects your self-confidence a little bit because you're just, I'm a little more unsure of my footing. Does that make sense? So to have somebody like there, and I told her, like, sometimes it's just knowing you're right there that I can grab you makes me feel so much better. And God was showing me, and isn't that just like life? Gosh, we need people so much right now, and especially in 2020, especially in the middle of all this crazy. We need people. We need people because we are all on like gravelly ground. We are all on like uncertain territory. We are all, there are times when we are the one holding the hand. And what Jamie was really good at showing me is there are times when we're the one that needs to take a hand. And it was such like just a beautiful thing that the Lord was showing me. And so I want to encourage someone today who is on unsure footing and you've not done this before and you're scared. And your options are get a little bit of help or quit. Girl, get a little bit of help. Get some help. Don't be afraid just to reach out, whether that's pick up a phone, text somebody, send a letter, make a phone call, whatever it is. If you're in need of a little help, get it. Why would I have just let myself slip and fall coming back down that hill when Jamie was right there and so willing to just help me through some scary parts? And so if that's you, like ask, my friends, ask. Third thing that God was showing me. And by the way, if we want to go back to that, if we're talking about business, like, listen, if you're not in my business group, get in somebody's where you can ask for some help, where you can link arms with some people, where you can reach out when you need some help because your launch just failed or your social media is in the tank or you don't know what the heck you're doing or you need to pivot or whatever. You can get on my waitlist if you want. Go to creatorsinnercircle.com or get on somebody else's, but don't do it alone. Okay, back to number 3. Number 3, thing that God was showing me during that hike is, man, it was ugly. I was huffing and puffing and like, good Lord, I know I quit smoking 30 years ago, but this is not pretty. And it made me feel horrible because Jamie's out there, just looking like an athlete. And I'm like, and so at times that was super embarrassing because it wasn't easy. It wasn't pretty, especially compared to her. And what I started to do is I started to go into that comparison mode, and I started to have that imposter syndrome of, you know, I'm not good enough. I'm not in shape enough. I don't know enough about what I'm doing. She looks like this is so easy. I'm so embarrassed. I'm holding her back. I started doing all of that. I started comparing our ages, and there was a part of me that felt like some embarrassment that I just couldn't go as fast. Does that make sense? And the Lord was really showing me at the end of the hike, not in the middle of it, when all of the nonsense was in my brain. That's the chatterbox that Stephen Furtick talks about, Pastor Stephen Furtick. I love him so much. But that chatterbox was on full display, but it was at the end of the hike when then I posted some pictures on my Instagram, and people were reminding me of like the weather app for Boulder that day had poor air quality because of all of the fires that were on the West Coast, and I have the pictures on my Instagram of how clouded over even the sun was, and I didn't realize they call us flatlanders. Those of us that are like, we live at sea level or what have you, those of us that come from Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, we're called flatlanders. So we're not used to that additional altitude. And that when I got done, like that made me feel so much better. But the point of what God was wanting to show me is, look, it may have been ugly, but you did it. And somebody needs to hear it today. It may be looking messy as all get out, but you're doing it. And the truth of the matter is, the getting it done is what matters. It's not how pretty you looked doing it. And I'll bet every single day of the week on someone who's scrappy and will not quit over someone who has to have everything perfect. So I hope that that's helpful for someone today, someone who's trying something, somebody who's doing something that's big, hard, and scary, someone who is out of their comfort zone right now. I hope that that helps you. There's a lot of different ways to get to the top. Please don't do it alone. And even if it's not easy or not pretty, hey, finishing is what's important. I know that's going to minister to somebody's soul today. If that's you, would you screenshot this and tag me on Instagram and just let me know? It always helps me to know that these episodes are landing with somebody. But I know that there's a handful of you because God was pretty specific in sharing this on a podcast today. So bless you for being here. Bless you as you go about your week. We're all going to make it. Bye-bye.